right. Good morning, everybody. Cowboy here, and it is just 1 minute here until the CPI. So I thought I would go ahead and bring up everything, bring up the charts so we can take a look at things right before the move here. So let me zoom in on Bitcoin. I might move us over to Forex, but we'll stay on Bitcoin. Bitcoin, it's CPI. It's going to be a big enough move, I think, to see this on Bitcoin. Let me look at the 5 minute. And CPI hot, CPI cold. I'm guessing it's going to be cool. Cool CPI is going to push price up, and a hot CPI is going to push price down. And it's any minute now. Let's see. Okay, the time has arrived. Price is currently headed down a little bit. There it goes. I'm going to bring up CPI on a different screen just to see how it's behaving. Yeah, dollar getting stronger, so it looks like we might have a little warm of a CPI. Let's see here. Yeah, see how it's pushing down. This is on the 5 minute chart, which is, that's a pretty low time frame. And we're seeing, like I say, we're seeing the price drop here, which means the dollar is getting strong. Now, this could be a temporary move. So let's take a look here. All right, what's the data? Yeah, a little warm. CPI came out a little bit warm. So this might mean that we don't see a cut in the interest rate, right? So because the month over month was just, as expected, year over year, as expected, core CPI. So that means, like, what is the core CPI, right? How is that different than CPI? Well, this is the change in price of goods and services purchased by consumers, excluding food and energy. Okay. So if you add food and energy, I'm assuming that's what the regular CPI is. Yep, it is. So food and energy, if you take that out, right, then the number is a little bit higher. So food and energy actually was not quite as high. So this might just be kind of a nothing burger. I mean, as expected, if you will. 0.2. 0.2%, that is, month over month. So looks like not a very eventful CPI. Yep, as estimated, or slightly higher than above. But, without seeing the CPI cool off at all and even tick up a little bit from expected, what we might end up seeing here is, like I said, we might end up seeing the whole picture be that there's no cut in September. We're going to get a little bit of data tomorrow from via the Guerilla, actually. He'll be I didn't share the screen. That's brilliant. Via the Guerilla is going to come in tomorrow for the drips in our private live lab, and he's going to give us a little bit of the of the information here, right? Of whatever he just got while he was traveling. He was gone for a couple days traveling for business. But here you are looking at the screen. Sorry that I didn't share this earlier, and there's really nothing to look at. Even though I didn't share it, there was nothing to see. So, wait for, Justin said it. Wait for the revision. It's it's like 50% chance of a revision nowadays. Like, can the Bureau of Labor Statistics just not get it right? Is that like the way it is? Can they not just get the data? What they should do is wait until they have all the data, then put the data out then. What's the point? What's the point of putting out data before you have the data? Call it preliminary then. Don't call it the official word. But, then they can't mess around with the markets and make their little money. We all know what that's about. So far, though, it's the market is in a very slight way reacting to, what is effectively just a slight tick up in the CPI. That's how I'm reading this. That's what that feels like, if you will. So let's take a look at how it might affect markets. Remember that we got FOMC next week, and with kind of a blind CPI, like kind of an as expected slight tick up. I think The only thing I can do is just say, hey, maybe we're not going to see a cut. That's it. Let's see what happened with. We'll go to the equity indexes first because that's where a lot of things start, and very very little change. Okay, no, the futures are going to open for the SPY. Looks like the pre-market is down just a few ticks. Look at ES1, you'll see a slight tick down. Not a very big move down at all. Zoom out a bit, and we'll just do a broader assessment. There is a bit of downward pressure on the indexes. However, you can see that I've mapped this out, and I did expect possibly to see a range like form in this area. If price was going to go up, the current news might have kind of dampened that move up. You can see that this exit longs and this red, that's my own algo. Um, I would say that that's not in play yet. This candle, which is a daily candle, still has to close for me to take this seriously, right? It's about 8 hours left, so that is actually a decent indication that this, we're 2/3 of the day through. So that signal may stay there, but we're not going to worry about it for 8 hours. Let me bring up a different screen here. Well, yeah, let's just do this here. Let me bring up a different. Let's do. I just want to bring up a different time frame group. It's gonna be a moment here. Okay, we'll go back to the ES1, and we'll expand ourselves to a few new time frames. And then we're going to take a look at the 18-hour because that's just going to give us a little bit more data that's a little more up to date. Looking at this, let's see. Yeah, we'll see about it. It kind of seems to me like it's going to be pretty quiet until the CPI because you have a little upward pressure from, it's just kind of flat. Like it bounced off of this prior demand kind of zone here. It more or less bounced off of that. And, it's the candle theory, if you will, is pretty strong for a move up. Everything keeps getting pushed up. At the same time, looking at the algos, it's just kind of flat. There's not a lot going on that time frame, but I would say on the 5-day, it's kind of bearish. You're seeing some indication that price is going to have a hard time moving up, right? So what I would expect to see back to the 18-hour here, which is similar to the daily, I might expect to see price either bounce off of this prior order block up here and then maybe head down, or it might simply just range. And we talked about this. We've talked about it a number of times, but on an election year, a lot of times price will just go sideways into the election for the equity indexes. So, going into October and everything, I would expect price, and we talked about this again on these videos here as well. I would expect price to have an upper and lower bound that might be tighter than what I'm about to draw, but that upper and lower bound might be like 5,200 to 5,700 on the E-mini. So it's basically the SP 500 futures. And it might even have a tighter bounce than that, right? For the moment, like I said, I expect kind of a weak move up and then maybe a bounce. It might even bounce right off of the bottom of this price action up here and head down. We'll see about it. It might grab liquidity there too. Again, that higher time frame, that 5-day, that's pretty bearish. So, a lot of times crypto will follow these kinds of, if Bitcoin is not in the middle of an expansion or contraction, it'll be influenced by the SP 500. So not to say that it will this time, but even it would be slightly influenced. Like if the SP 500 makes a strong move in either direction, that will affect Bitcoin. So let's move on. And we'll even talk about Bitcoin. We haven't even mapped out Bitcoin just yet. Okay, so this is definitely a downtrend. It looks like a giant bull flag. That's what it looks like to me. Having error, generally price continues up. And if I were to take a look at this move, very high time frame expansion upside, then I would expect it. I've got targets, but my targets are like, what is it, 80, just based on this expansion alone, right? There's a couple ways to look at this. I'll show you. I've got another way to do it. I could look at this whole year as a big expansion, but this is the whole year. But I could go back a little more in time to do this. But just the way that this price action is moving, this uptrend on a very high time frame, this expansion has a target at about $83,000 and a target at about $95,000, right? If I were to be a little more precise and use this that's it. Those are the targets. Those are my targets. A lot of people are expecting Bitcoin to go to 200,000 or, some crazy number. But what people forget is that price made an all-time high prior to the halving, which has never happened, right? Before, you would get the halving, a pullback, and a move up to all-time high. The price actually expanded up to all-time high before the halving. And there's always that chance that the market over-anticipated price movement due to all the money flowing into the institutional, right? So there's a lot of smart people doing a lot of smart math, taking Bitcoin to like 160, 170,000, and that very well could happen. But I take things level by level, right? And as it stands, if price is able to break out of this move, this, I think if we were done with the bull, this would be already headed down. This looks like a consolidation before a pop up, is what it looks like to me. So, I'm not thinking that the bull is over. I do think that we are just kind of taking a break and price will head up, but those are the two targets I like right now. And 100,000 is going to be a tough nut to crack, We've talked about this again in the private live lab as to how the institutions might be affecting the price of Bitcoin. I don't want to reveal too much here, but I wouldn't be like, if price in crypto were to hit 95,000 and to kind of get real quiet, then I would be looking at least taking off some profit. There. You got to take profit. Right now, we might be in the midst of a flip downwards. Like, it's very, very possible that we've seen the end of this mini move up right now in Bitcoin, right? Let's take a quick look at the algos in a higher time. Yeah. See, I am seeing a bit of bearishness here. I really am. Yep. I think this might be not the worst time to consider going short. A lot of reason for that, and I'll talk about the measurements in the private live lab as to what type of targets I might consider. But price is rejecting pretty hard off here, and the algos like that rejection. And I know everybody wants Bitcoin to go up. I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It just is what it is. It is what it is. It doesn't mean it's not going to go up. It might go up, but I mean, this looks like a bearish retest to me. That's what that looks like. And, we'll go ahead and map this out in the private live lab. So let me go ahead and get that moved up. Let's go over to the private live lab. I don't see any questions in the chat. Remember, if you're not with Algo Factory, you can go ahead and you can ask questions here in this public live lab. You want to see this chart, you want to see that chart. That's kind of what it's for. Although if you are an Algo Factory member, your questions will have priority in this live lab. And I know most people are not up trading right now. Most people are up getting ready for their job. And a lot of your newer traders are going to be trading on a higher time frame where, they can see trades form up over, long periods of time and so on. And yeah, you can start trading on a full-time job. You just do what's called swing trading, right? So if you are live, though, if you're watching this live, you want to say, hey, what's going to happen to this chart, that chart, just let me know in the chat. I'll throw up a chart for you. But for now, we are going to hop over. So zap the QR code, top right-hand side of the screen. Go to algofactory.tech. We help people become traders. We help people build their own trading method, right? So we train ourselves right out of a job. By the time we're done with you, you will be on your own. You will not need us. And in the meantime, we're extremely cheap, less than a bottle of water a day, as V the Guerilla says. AlgoFactory.tech, trade your job, upgrade your life. Do not forget.
Join us or die.